A broken man, a dry land, and 5 Apache warriors, desperate and wounded, step out of the brush. What happens next ain't just survival. It's the start of something no one saw coming. This is the moment a hollow rancher gave water to his so-called enemy and rewrote the meaning of war. The desert don't whisper, it scrapes, wind hissing through brittle grass, dust settling where life used to be. Silas Cole stood alone at the old well, his hands rope-burned, the bucket groaning up from the dark like it carried ghosts instead of water. 3 summers had passed since this land had grown a thing worth keeping. 2 nags picked at dry hay in a corral made for 20. The barn leaned like it remembered better days. The fields behind him, useless now, still bore the scars of a man who once tried. But the well still gave. Cold, clean, faithful. The only thing that hadn't turned its back on him. He set the sloshing bucket near the fence post, wiped his brow, and thought of Abigail, of Grace, of the days before the quiet set in, before grief carved him out like a man-shaped shell. Then he heard it. A rustle. Not a deer. Not wind. Desperation. He reached for the rifle that wasn't there. Hadn't been for months. Not since he traded it for mule feed. All he had now was a dull knife in his boot and a spine that refused to break. 5 figures staggered out from the brush. 3 men, 2 women, Apache. All hurt. One, barely standing, was held up between 2 others. But the woman in front? She walked straight-backed, despite the blood painting her shoulder. Her gaze swept the land like a hawk sizing up a kill. She saw the bucket. Then him, then back to the water. They stopped 30 feet out, silence thick as a burial wind. One of the younger men, coiled and twitchy, had his hand near his knife. The air tightened. Silas didn't move fast, just bent down, slow and deliberate, hands steady, and picked up the bucket. He walked 3 paces forward, set it down between them, and stepped back. That was his answer. No words. Just water. The woman's eyes searched him like she expected the ground to give way beneath her. Like trust was something dead and buried generations ago. Behind her, one of the warriors barked a warning. She didn't answer. Just kept looking at Silas like he might disappear or explode. Then the wounded man fell. Hard. Dust flew up like smoke, and the others bent to catch him, their panic unspoken. That broke the spell. She moved, each step measured. Her fingers brushed the rim of the bucket. She lifted it, drank deep. Didn't flinch. Water ran down her chin like she didn't care. Then she turned and carried it back to her kin. The young one, Taza, he'd later learn, snatched it first, gulped like a man who hadn't tasted anything clean in days. The others followed. The old man, the quiet one, passed it gently to the fallen warrior, tipping it so water reached his cracked lips. Silas watched it all. He hadn't moved. She turned to him again, now holding the empty bucket. Her voice was rough, unsure in English. Why? He didn't answer quick. The truth was too long, too heavy. Instead, he looked past her at the man barely breathing. You needed it, he said. Taza barked something sharp. She raised a hand, just a flick of fingers, and he stopped. Her gaze never left Silas. Your people kill mine, she said. Mine kill yours. You give water? I give water. Simple as that. She looked again, at the empty barn, the fence post, the house with no smoke, no ambush, no soldiers, no angle, just one man and a well. She stepped closer. Silas tensed but didn't move. The well, she said, nodding toward it. More water? Yes. You let us take? Silas glanced at the man in the dirt, pale, dying. "Take what you need," he said. Another argument sparked in their tongue. The young one's eyes blazed. "Poison," he was saying. "A trap." But the woman, the leader, shut him down again, quick and firm. Then she walked past Silas, right to the well, lowered the bucket, drew it up, drank again, this time deeper. She looked back at him, and something cracked in her expression. Suspicion gave way to confusion, or maybe recognition, of something neither of them had words for. Then came the warning shout. From the east, Silas turned. 6 riders, dust trailing behind them like ghosts, rifles slung, faces hard, trouble, and they were bringing it fast. If this opening gripped you like a rifle shot at dusk, stick around. This story's just getting started. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and saddle up for part 2, where one man's stand draws a line in the dust that might just start a war, or stop one. The riders came in hot, dust rising like judgment behind them. 6 men with rifles strapped across their saddles, and the kind of faces that made mercy a rare thing. Silas didn't move from where he stood. He'd already made his choice. There was no more ground to give. At the head of the posse sat Clay Thorne. Wide-brimmed hat pulled low, coat flap tucked behind a pistol grip he hadn't polished for looks. Clay Thorne wasn't the kind of man to ask a second time. He didn't like questions. He liked outcomes. Clean ones. Bloody ones. Didn't matter. The horses skidded to a halt 20 feet from the well. The circle of men behind Thorne fanned out, loose but practiced, like they'd done this before, like they'd meant to end something here. Thorne's eyes scanned the scene. The wounded Apache, the empty bucket, the barn with its broken door half swinging, and Silas Cole, standing between it all like a man who'd forgotten how to run. "Cole," Thorne called out, voice sharp as cut wire. "You want to tell me why I'm looking at the very folks who butchered the Shaw livestock, drinking from your damn well?" Silas didn't answer. Not yet. Behind him, Lozen said something low and firm in her tongue. He didn't need a translation. He knew battlefield language when he heard it. "Brace yourself. Be ready to kill." One of Thorne's men, a young pup with a red scarf at his throat and a gleam in his eye, started to raise his rifle. Not full, just enough to say we're past talking. The Apache flinched like coiled snakes. Taz's fingers wrapped the hilt of his knife. "Stand down," Silas barked, turning half toward both sides. "Ain't no one dying here today unless someone gets stupid." The tension was a taut wire stretched across the yard. Thorne leaned forward in his saddle, eyes narrow. "You really think helping them is going to bring back your wife?" he asked. "Your girl?" Silas didn't flinch. "No." "Then what the hell are you doing, Silas?" "Trying to end what killed him." Thorne's jaw worked, the muscle in his cheek tight. He gave a bitter laugh. "You gone soft? Hell, I remember when you'd have ridden with me to finish this." "Yeah," Silas said quietly. "And that's the man I buried with my family." The wind picked up. Somewhere, a crow called. Thorne spat into the dust. "I'm taking him in," he said flatly. "Dead or alive." "You'll do no such thing," Silas answered, stepping forward, boots solid in the dirt. "They came for water, that's all. They're leaving in pieces if they leave now." "You protecting them?" "I'm protecting my land. And this ground's already soaked in enough blood." Red Scarf twitched again. His rifle tilted a hair higher. Lozen's voice rang out sharp. "Silas!" He turned. She was staring at him, not in fear, not even in trust, but like a soldier recognizing another who's already died once and didn't flinch when death showed up again. Then came the silence. No one moved, not even the horses. A choice had been made. Not loud, not drawn from a holster, but spoken with where a man planted his boots. Thorne knew it, and for a long, hard second, Silas thought he might just go for his iron anyway. But he didn't. He yanked the reins and wheeled his horse around. "This ain't over, Cole," he growled. "You just made enemies out of friends." Silas watched them ride off, the ground quivering beneath their hoofbeats. Only when the dust had swallowed them whole did he let out the breath he'd been holding. When he turned back, Lozen was watching him. She stepped closer, blood drying dark on her shoulder, eyes tired and sharp all at once. "You make enemy for us," she said. "I made a choice," Silas replied. "Why?" He paused. He'd already given her the easy answer. This time he gave her the hard one. 4 years ago, my wife and little girl were killed. Folks blamed your kind, said it was Apache. Turned out it was white men, dressed up, making it look like it was you. Wanted a war, wanted the land. Got both." Lozen's face didn't change, but something in her eyes shifted. Slow, deep. "My husband," she said. "My sons, real settlers. No paint, just hate. Killed them all. Same day." They stood in that broken yard with too many ghosts and not enough future. The young warrior, Taza, said something sharp again, anger flaring in his words. Lozen snapped back. Her tone ended the argument. "You offer shelter?" she asked. "I offer the barn. It's dry. It ain't much. And when he comes back? Then we deal with him." She nodded once, and for the first time, it wasn't with suspicion. "We stay. But I watch." Silas gave her a look. "Watch for what?" "For when you remember, we're the enemy." He didn't answer. There wasn't a word in any language that'd change what she'd lived. Only time. Only truth. As they carried the wounded into the barn, Silas felt the air shift. Just a hair, not peace, but the beginning of something close enough. Connie was barely breathing. They laid him down in the darkest corner of Silas's barn, his chest rising in shallow, fluttering jerks. His skin had gone the color of tallow. Blood crusted at the corner of his mouth. Whatever wound he carried, it was deeper than Silas had first thought. Maybe gut shot, maybe infection. Either way, he needed more than luck. Lozen crouched beside him, her face carved from stone. Her fingers moved with surprising tenderness as she adjusted the wrappings on his shoulder. Taza stood just behind her, blade still sheathed but never far from his grip. Silas set a fresh bucket of water near them, the handle creaking as it touched the dirt floor. "That barn door's got no lock," he said, voice low. "But it stays closed all the same." Lozen didn't answer. Her attention was on Connie, but Nana, the older warrior, gave a single slow nod. It wasn't thanks. Not exactly. Just recognition. Outside, the sky was turning brass again. Heat pressed down like a hand on the back of the neck. Silas stepped out and pulled the door shut behind him, leaving them to the shade and the silence. At the well, he found Lozen's eyes already on him. She hadn't gone far. Just stood there, leaning slightly with her good hand on the stone rim, scanning the horizon like she was born to wait for trouble. Silas didn't speak. He just walked past her to the well, dropped the bucket, and hauled it up. The rope groaned under the strain. He'd need to replace it soon, though with what he didn't know. He poured fresh water into the tin basin he kept by the trough and splashed his face. When he looked up again, Lozen was still watching him. "Your man," he said, jerking his chin toward the barn. "He gonna make it?" Lozen didn't answer at first. She turned her gaze back to the east. "I've seen men die slower." Silas exhaled through his nose. "I've seen him die faster." That almost got a smile from her. Almost. She shifted her weight and said, "You fight before? In the war? Which one? Does it matter?" Silas shook his head. "No, don't reckon it does." From the barn, a dry voice called out in Apache. Lozen turned sharply, her body snapping into focus like a drawn arrow. Silas followed, steps careful, and found Nana standing in the doorway. He spoke fast, urgent. Lozen translated. He asks, "Is there more water?" Silas nodded and stepped past her, bringing the bucket himself this time. Inside, Connie stirred weakly, lips parting like he was trying to speak. Nana cradled his head and helped him drink. The water hit like fire. Connie coughed and tried again. His voice was barely a breath, but it held weight. Taza knelt beside him, face tight. When Lozen moved to refill the bucket, her footsteps faltered. Her eyes narrowed. Something was wrong. She reached the well and froze, one foot still lifted, head cocked slightly to the side. Silas saw it too now. The birds had gone quiet. The wind stopped shifting. Then came the sound. Hooves, fast, hard, coming from the east. Lozen grabbed the bucket with her good arm and ran it back to the barn, setting it inside like it mattered more than her own breath. Taza and Nana were already rising, blades unsheathed, eyes like cut obsidian. Silas didn't ask. He moved, boots crunching dirt, and walked to the edge of his fence line, eyes narrowing against the sun. They came through the tree line like a whip crack. 6 riders again, but not Thorne's men. This was a different kind of fast. Wild, frantic. A woman was on foot, stumbling behind the horses. Silas's blood turned ice. The woman collapsed just short of the fence. Torn dress, dirt-smeared skin, hair like straw, matted and tangled. She looked up and screamed when her eyes found Lozen. It wasn't a word, just terror. She crab-crawled backward across the dirt, shaking, muttering, "No, no, no," over and over like a broken prayer. Silas moved between them fast. "Hey, look at me!" The woman clutched at his shirt, fingers trembling. "They came. My brother. He told me to run. They came out of nowhere. The ranch." "Which ranch?" "Shaw." Silas froze. Lozen stiffened beside him. "How many?" he asked. "Too many. 20. Maybe more." "Not like this." She pointed weakly toward the barn. "Organized. They had torches, rifles. They knew where to go." Lozen and Silas locked eyes. It wasn't her people. She whispered a word in Apache. Connie's eyes opened wide. Nana said something fast. Lozen turned back to Silas. "This woman, this settler, she was there. She saw it. It was not us." "I know," Silas said, "but Thorne won't care." "No," Lozen agreed, "because he already knew it wasn't us." Then came the second sound. Gunshots from the east. The woman screamed again. Silas didn't wait this time. He ran. The gunfire echoed like judgment rolling across the basin. Sharp cracks, too many to count. Then silence, the kind that don't just settle but press down on the chest like a hand. Silas stood near the fence line, jaw clenched, fists at his sides. Behind him, the young woman, Eliza Shaw, was hunched near the well, rocking in the dirt, her eyes wide with a 1,000-mile stare. "They're finishing it," she said through chattering teeth. "They went back. They're finishing it." Lozen stepped out of the barn, her wounded arm wrapped tight now, blood soaked deep into the cloth. Taza and Nana flanked her, grim and silent. Their weapons were ready. Not out of choice, but because fate had left no other road. Silas turned to face them. "They'll be back," he said. "They never left," Lozen answered. And she was right. It wasn't just the raid anymore. Wasn't just water or shelter. What had happened at the Shaw Ranch had been a cover. an excuse for something bigger. Thorn had made his move, and now he needed someone to hang it on. Right on cue, the thunder came. Hooves. Again. A dozen this time. Maybe more. The posse rode in from the same trail they'd left on just hours ago. But this time they weren't cautious. They came in like owners reclaiming property. Thorn rode at the front, his coat flapping, his rifle unholstered and cradled like a sermon. He pulled up 30 feet from the well, eyes sweeping the yard. When they landed on Eliza, his mouth twitched, but not in surprise, in calculation. "Well, look what the wind blew back," he said. "Miss Shaw, thought you was ash by now." Eliza didn't respond, just stared through him. Thorn dismounted with practiced ease. His men fanned out, rifles ready. Tension a step away from blood. Silas stepped forward. "Turn your men around, Clay. You don't want what's next." "What I want," Thorn said, "is justice. You hid hostiles on your land. Now you're harboring the only survivor of a massacre they caused. She's a witness. That makes her mine." "She's not yours," Silas snapped. "And neither is this land." Thorn's face twisted. "You're protecting them? After what they did to your wife? To your little girl?" "They didn't do it. You and I both know who did." Thorn's hand flexed near his belt. "Not on the gun. Not yet. Just close enough. I ain't gonna argue law with a man who's lost his damn mind." Behind Silas, the Apache had stepped into formation. Lozen at the front, the barn at their backs, Connie still inside, breath ragged but holding. Taza stood like a coiled spring, teeth clenched, hate dancing behind his eyes. Eliza rose to her feet, her voice shaky but loud enough to carry. "They didn't attack my family. I saw who did." Thorn turned slowly. "Eliza, grief'll make you see things wrong." "I saw white men," she said. "I saw rifles marked with ranch brands. They were organized, not like them." She nodded toward Lozen's group. "These people are barely standing." One of Thorn's men cursed under his breath. Another tightened his grip on his carbine. Silas raised his voice, cutting through the murmur. "This ain't justice. It's a land grab wrapped in a badge and a lie, and I ain't letting it happen on my dirt." He stepped forward, planting his boots in the dust. "You want to drag them off? You'll have to shoot through me." The air turned electric. One wrong twitch, and this patch of land would be red before sundown. Nana raised his voice, not in English, but in his own tongue. Calm, solid. His words aimed at Taza, at Lozen, at the war drums inside them all. Lozen didn't flinch, but she did glance at Silas, and something passed between them. Not alliance, not peace, but a kind of truth. Thorn spat again. "This ain't over, Cole. This ends with you buried or broken." Silas didn't blink. "Could say the same to you." Behind him, Lozen took a step forward. Her voice rang out, quiet but full of iron. "This is our land, too." That silenced even Thorn's men. They weren't used to hearing Apache speak their tongue. And they sure as hell weren't used to hearing them claim something besides blame. Clay Thorn turned away, jaw grinding, fury simmering beneath the surface. He pointed at Silas. "You just made your bed, Cole." "Good," Silas said. "I was tired of sleeping on guilt anyway." Thorn mounted up, his men following. The last thing he said before riding off was a promise. "This ain't finished." And he was right. But as the sound of hoofbeats faded, so did the scent of death. For now. Lozen exhaled. Eliza dropped to her knees. Silas didn't move. The line had been drawn, not in law, not in blood, but in dust. And every man on both sides had seen where Silas Cole stood. After Thorn rode off, and the dust had time to settle, the yard went quiet. Not peaceful, Just quiet, like a saloon after a fight where no one dares be the first to speak. Eliza Shaw sat hunched near the well, knees pulled tight to her chest, her voice gone. Taza stood watch with a blade still resting in his palm, its edge catching slivers of sun. Nana knelt beside the barn door, whispering something ancient to the wind. And Lozen? She just stared at Silas, not suspicious, not grateful, just searching, like a woman trying to understand a puzzle that shouldn't exist. "You should have let them take us," she said, voice low. Silas, hands braced on the fence rail, didn't look at her. "And let Thorn clean his lies with more blood? You made him your enemy. He already was." That hung in the air a beat too long. Finally, she stepped closer. The sound of her boots crunching dirt, the only sign she was still flesh and bone, not some ghost carved by loss. Her shoulder wound was soaked again. She didn't flinch. "Why?" she asked, third time now. Silas let out a long breath, the kind that tastes like dust and old sin. "You want to know why?" He turned and looked her in the eye. "My wife's name was Abigail," he said. "My daughter was Grace, 6 years old, hair the color of wheat in late summer. She used to sit out by that well and feed birds with crumbs I couldn't afford to waste." Lozen didn't move, not even a blink. "4 years back, a raiding party came through," Silas continued. "That's what they told me. Said it was Apache, tore through the ridge settlements, burned cabins, took scalps. They said the proof was the paint, the tracks." He paused. "But I found out the truth 6 months later, in a saloon, no less. 2 ranchers, drunk off winnings, bragging how they'd stirred the pot, painted themselves in red and ash, killed innocents, started a war to scare folks off land they wanted to claim." Silas's voice grew thin, like a man dragging a plow through clay. "That war gave 'em titles, but it left me with 2 graves on a hill." Lozen's lips parted just slightly. "I never told no one. What would have been the point? No jury, no law, just a truth I had to swallow every damn day." Silas's eyes hardened. "So you ask me why I stood in front of Thorn? It's 'cause I finally saw who I'd been pointing my hate at, and it wasn't the ones who'd earned it." Lozen looked down, as if afraid to let him see what passed behind her eyes. "My husband's name was Tocho," she said quietly. "He wasn't a warrior. He made bows, clean, strong ones. He taught our boys to hunt, not fight." Silas swallowed. "We were 3 days south when they came. Settlers, real ones, no paint, no need to hide. They killed him first, then my sons. Youngest was 9. She touched her shoulder without realizing it. "This wound, same day." Taza muttered something behind her in Apache, bitter and sharp. Lozen answered back, a single phrase that cut through him like a blade. He turned away. Silas caught her eye. "He thinks I'm lying?" "He thinks we're fools," she said. "He's not wrong." "You still don't trust me." "No," she said. "But I trust what you've lost." That struck deeper than she meant. The 2 of them stood there, battered souls wrapped in different skins, each carrying ghosts that wouldn't stay buried. It wasn't peace, but it was something. Movement in the barn drew their attention. Connie stirred. Nana had propped him up, and the old man was feeding him slow sips of water. The dying weren't dead yet. Silas nodded toward the barn. "He needs more than water, needs real rest." Lozen followed his gaze, then looked at the barn, then back to Silas. "You still offer shelter?" "I do." She hesitated, just long enough for doubt to make a last attempt. Then she nodded. Taza didn't like it. That much was clear. He argued in their tongue, pacing like a trapped coyote. But Lozen shut him down with 3 short words and a look that didn't invite more. "We stay," she said, "but we don't sleep." Silas smirked. Didn't plan on sleeping anyway. As the sun dropped lower, the air turned cooler, but the tension never left. Silas chopped old wood for the fire. Nana kept watch. Eliza finally closed her eyes near the porch, arms wrapped around herself. And Lozen? She sat under the moonlight, sharpening her blade with one hand, eyes on the tree line, as if daring fate to send another man with a badge and a lie. The barn breathed with quiet. Connie drifted in and out of fever dreams, his chest rising just enough to prove he hadn't crossed over yet. Nana stayed at his side like a weathered statue, whispering in the old tongue, soft, rhythmic, like medicine for the soul more than the body. Outside, dusk was folding itself over the land, the kind of hush that came before coyotes started their songs. Silas stood on the porch, shotgun cradled in one arm, not for show, not out of fear, just habit. Taza prowled the edge of the yard like a wolf with no pack left, every few minutes stopping to check the same piece of sky. He hadn't spoken since the last argument with Lozen, just kept moving, kept watching, kept the hate burning. Eliza sat by the fire, arms wrapped around herself, face too pale for a girl raised under sun and sky. Her eyes didn't blink much, like she was afraid if she stopped watching the dark, something inside it might take shape. And Lozen. She hadn't moved from her spot near the barn door, still sharpening that same blade. Still waiting. It was Silas who heard it first, a soft rhythm, offbeat, dragging, not hoofbeats, not men. Footsteps. He lifted the barrel slightly and gave a quiet whistle. Taza turned on instinct. Lozen stood. From the trees came a shape. No horse, no weapon drawn, just a figure on foot, limping hard, dust trailing from torn skirts and bare knees scraped raw. It was a young white woman. She stumbled into the yard like she didn't believe it was real. Her hair was knotted with dirt and blood, and her right eye looked nearly swollen shut. She saw Silas first, but her gaze didn't settle. Then she saw Lozen, and she collapsed. Silas moved fast, crossing the yard in seconds, dropping beside her with one knee in the dirt. She recoiled, weak and panicked, hands flailing like a child in a nightmare. "No, please, please don't." "You're all right," Silas said, voice low, steady. "Ain't no one gonna hurt you." Lozen came closer, slow and careful, keeping both hands visible. Eliza watched from behind, frozen. The woman tried to sit up but only managed a few inches. "Name's Eliza Shaw," Silas told her, pointing back. "She's with us. You're safe." The woman's lips moved but gave no sound. Silas pulled his canteen, tipped water to her mouth. She drank like her throat was sand. Finally, she whispered, "Shaw Ranch." Eliza jolted. "That's my home." The woman, eyes unfocused, nodded, but she wasn't looking at Eliza. She was looking at Lozen, trembling. "They came, 20 or more, at dawn, rifles, fire, they knew where we slept. My brother, Sam, he told me to run." Eliza dropped to her knees beside her. "Sam's my brother. You knew Sam?" She nodded again, weaker this time. "He said, get to the coal place. Said if anyone was still honest, it'd be him." Silas felt the words land like a punch to the ribs. He hadn't seen Sam Shaw in over a year. But he remembered the boy. Quiet, kind, one of the few settlers who'd ever spoken to an Apache without reaching for his belt iron. Lozen stepped forward. "She needs warmth, rest." Eliza helped her up while Taza hovered behind. Unreadable. They brought her inside, laid her near the hearth. Nana left Connie's side long enough to bring herbs and cloth. Lozen knelt down and checked the girl's bruised legs, the raw cuts across her arms. She's not going to last long if she keeps running. Then she stays, Silas said. Eliza looked at him. She said 20 men. Organized. Ranch marks on their coats, just like I saw. Silas nodded grimly. They're not just finishing off survivors, he said. They're cleaning up loose ends. Taza spat something bitter. Lozen didn't translate. She didn't have to. Everyone here was a witness now. Then Nana spoke, low and fast. Lozen listened, then turned to Silas. He saw signs in the hills, fresh ones, not settler. Apache? Yes, my people. Following us. How long? Less than an hour, maybe less. Silas ran a hand down his face. If they see us here, with settlers, with this girl, they'll think I betrayed them, Lozen said. Eliza swallowed hard. They'll kill us all, won't they? No one answered, because the answer didn't need speaking. Lozen rose slowly, her blade still at her side, eyes colder now. If we stay, we die. And if we run, Silas asked. We die tired. Silas looked around, at the wounded girl, at Connie half breathing in the barn, at Eliza's trembling hands, and Taza's barely concealed fury. Then back at Lozen. Or, he said, we find another way. By the time the sun broke the ridgeline, the wind had already turned. Dust rolled in from the west like a warning, dry and biting. Silas Cole stood on the roof, scanning the horizon through his spyglass. No riders yet, but he could feel it. Trouble didn't always raise a flag. Below him, the house stirred with uneasy breath. Connie was conscious but weak. The settler girl, her name was Mabel, couldn't stand without help. Eliza hadn't left her side since she'd come in, whispering comfort like it might buy them another hour of peace. Inside the barn, Taza packed what little ammunition they had. 2 rifles, 1 old revolver, and a dozen shells. Not enough for war, but maybe enough for noise. Lozen stood in the clearing, her eyes on the mountains behind them. Her hair was braided tight, her blade strapped to her thigh. She looked less like a girl now, more like a line drawn in the dirt. She wasn't just waiting. She was choosing. Scouts, she said finally, not turning. Silas came down off the roof, his boots hitting the ground like an answer. Where? He asked. North Ridge, high ground. 2 of them, maybe more. Not settlers. My people. Silas rubbed his jaw. You sure? Lozen didn't blink. I saw the feathers. Crows. That's the war party. They're not here to talk. Taza cursed in Apache under his breath. They think you've turned, Silas said quietly. They don't think, Lozen replied. They've already decided. Silas stepped closer. We need to move, before either side catches up. Lozen shook her head. There's no outrunning both. So what then? She looked up, calm and sharp. We cut between. Between what? Them. Silas squinted. You want to lead us into the canyon? Lozen nodded. They won't expect it. It's cursed land to both sides, dry as bone, full of dead trees and snakes. Eliza, who'd come up behind, said, Sounds like a death trap. Lozen glanced at her. Better a trap no one walks into than one we sit in. Silas took a breath, slow and heavy. We'll need to leave within the hour. They moved like ghosts. Eliza and Mabel rode the mule, Connie lashed to a crude litter dragged behind. Taza led the way, rifle slung over one shoulder, eyes never resting. Silas brought up the rear, checking their 6 like a man who expected bullets in his back. By noon, The red rock swallowed them. Jagged cliffs rose on both sides, casting long shadows that made the air colder than it ought to be. Birds stopped singing here. Even the wind felt wrong. Lozen kept them on a narrow trail, half buried in dust and ash. She moved with certainty, like the land still spoke to her, even if it whispered warnings. "Why's this place cursed?" Eliza asked, voice low. Lozen didn't look back. "A long time ago, both your people and mine bled each other dry here. Neither side won. The dead still wait." "Great," Eliza muttered. Mabel clutched her coat tighter. "I hear spirits can cling to skin." Silas chuckled under his breath. "Let 'em try. I'm too ornery to haunt." But the laughter didn't last, because just ahead, Taza stopped short. He raised a hand, fist closed. Silas unslung his shotgun. Lozen drew her knife. A shape moved along the ridge above them, then another, then a third. Not Apache, not settler, but riders, 5 at least, dusty coats, dark hats, carbines slung low. Lozen's eyes narrowed. "Dutch's men," Eliza gasped. "How'd they get ahead of us?" Silas cursed. "They must have cut across Devil's Spine." "Smart," Lozen said grimly, "and fast." Taza spoke in Apache, low and urgent. Lozen nodded. "They don't know we've seen them yet," she said. "We can't go forward, and back means the war party." Silas glanced at the gulch to their left, steep, rocky, but survivable. "We cut down there," he said. "You think we'll survive the fall?" Eliza asked. Silas looked her dead in the eye. "I don't plan to fall." They descended fast, kicking up gravel and sliding down slick rock faces. Mabel bit her tongue not to scream. Eliza held on to the mule like it was her last lifeline. Connie groaned on the litter, but he was still breathing. Rifle fire cracked overhead. Dust erupted from a stone near Silas's head. "Keep moving," he barked. They reached the bottom, bruised and rattled, but alive. Dutch's men didn't follow. Yet. Taza dropped to a knee, checking the slope. "If they find another way down..." "We'll be waiting," Lozen said, eyes steeled. Silas checked his last 2 shells. Behind them was war. Ahead of them was Dutch. And in the canyon was the choice neither side wanted to make. The canyon narrowed by dusk, its blood-red walls closing in like a pair of calloused hands. The sky overhead burned orange, then fell into bruised purple, then black. Coyotes sang somewhere up high, distant and cruel. They made camp in the shadows. No fire, no talking, just the scrape of worn boots, the clink of metal, the hushed breath of wounded bodies trying not to draw attention. Silas sat cross-legged near the edge, his shotgun across his lap. Taza stood 10 feet off, eyes fixed up the ridge like a panther tracking something unseen. Eliza lay beside Connie, using her own jacket to cushion his head. He was pale now, breathing shallow. She brushed his damp brow with a tenderness Silas hadn't expected from a girl raised behind whitewashed picket fences. Lozen crouched alone, sharpening her blade slowly, methodically, like she was carving time into smaller pieces she could control. "They're waitin'," Silas muttered, nodding toward the black ridgeline. Lozen didn't stop the motion. "Dutch won't risk the descent in the dark. He's got no stomach for shadows." Silas glanced over his shoulder at the sleeping mule, at Mabel curled beneath a tarp, shaking in her sleep. "Neither do we." Lozen looked up then, her voice low but even. "You ever gamble, Cole?" He raised an eyebrow. "Not since I lost a month's pay on a horse named Lonesome Joe." She smiled, barely. "This is worse odds." At first light they moved again, fast and hard. Taza found an old rail bed cut into the canyon wall, forgotten by men but not by the land. Rusted iron tracks still clung to crumbling wooden beams like bones beneath torn skin. It was narrow, no more than 3 feet wide, hugging the stone like a whisper. Lozen led the way, moving barefoot for better grip. Behind her, Eliza pulled Connie's litter with a rope looped around her shoulders. She grunted with each step but didn't complain. Not once. Silas and Taza took rear guard. Every 10 paces one would stop and scan, fingers on triggers, jaws tight. Midway across the old rail line, the sun caught metal behind them. Riders, fast, Dutch's men. "They found the lower trail," Taza barked. "Keep moving," Silas yelled. Bullets cracked off rock. Splinters flew. The mule screamed and reared, nearly toppling off the edge. Then a voice rang out across the canyon, raspy, gloating, cruel. "Well, I'll be damned," Dutch hollered. "Ain't this a sweet little parade? You got women, stolen goods, and some traitors to boot." Lozen didn't stop walking. "Leave the boy," Dutch called. "He's dead anyway. I'll even let the white girls go if you hand over her." She didn't stop. "Eliza!" Silas shouted. "I'm not leaving him!" she snapped. Mabel wept openly. "We ain't gonna make it, are we?" Lozen suddenly turned, her eyes locked with Silas's. "This ends today." He stepped forward. "Don't you dare say what you're thinking. We split," she said. "I go down the side trail, loud, fast. They'll follow. You take the others across the ledge." "No," Silas growled. "I've seen that trick before. The one running don't come back." Lozen held his gaze. "You said yourself this land takes its payment in blood." "Then let it take mine," he snapped. But Lozen stepped close, closer than ever before. She reached up and touched his jaw, just for a second. "Yours already paid. Mine still owed." Then she was gone, slipping off the ledge, down the narrow trail, blade in one hand, stone in the other. She whistled, loud and sharp. A war cry followed. Dutch's men turned like hounds spotting fresh prey. Gunfire cracked, echoing wild across the rock. Silas grabbed Eliza's arm. "Run!" They made it. Barely. By nightfall they reached the far end of the canyon. The world opened into a valley of red grass and dry scrub, empty but for silence. No sign of Lozen, no trail, no sound. Eliza knelt beside Connie. He was still breathing, but fading. She looked up, tears streaking her dust-covered face. "We left her." Silas stood stiff, staring into the dark. "She chose it." Taza said nothing, just walked into the wind and knelt, pressing one palm to the earth. "May the mountain hear her name," he whispered in Apache. Silas didn't speak. He just stood there, listening, like maybe the land would answer. They buried Connie at dawn. No headstone, just a ring of stones and a patch of red soil beneath a twisted juniper, high above the basin. Eliza pressed her hand to the earth and whispered something no one else could hear. Then she stood, dry-eyed but hollow, like some part of her had been laid in that ground alongside him. The wind howled down from the canyon like a warning. Taza stood apart, carving a symbol into the bark of the tree with the edge of his knife. Something old, something sacred. Silas didn't ask. He figured if it mattered, he'd feel it. And he did. Mabel knelt nearby, head bowed. Her clothes were torn, arms scratched, spirit just barely holding together. She had clung to the group this far, but grief was something else. Grief untied people from the world. "She ain't said a word since Lozen left," Eliza said softly, joining Silas by the ledge. "She ain't the only one," he muttered. Eliza's voice grew tight. "You think she's still alive?" Silas didn't answer. Couldn't. They moved out by mid-morning, keeping low across the basin floor, weaving through cottonwood stands and dry washes. Taza said there was a safe house, a trapper's cabin used by his uncle years ago, half buried at the edge of Devil's Hollow. It wasn't much, but it was dry, hidden, and had a root cellar deep enough to breathe in. They reached it by sunset, with nerves frayed and limbs dragging. The place was a ruin. Roof sagging, floor creaking, shutters dangling like broken arms. But to them, it might as well have been a fortress. Silas and Taza took first watch. Eliza helped settle Mabel and the mule inside. Then she turned, arms crossed, watching Silas with a hard stare. "I need to ask," she said. "What happens now?" He adjusted his hat, leaned on the doorframe. "We wait. Dutch ain't dumb, but he's mean, and that's worse. He'll track the blood trail. Maybe he thinks Lozen's dead. Maybe he knows better. Either way, he's coming." Eliza stepped closer, voice dropping. "Then we end this." He looked at her. Not the girl who'd shown up shivering behind his gate, but the woman who buried her brother with her bare hands and never looked back. "Yeah," he said. "We end it." That night, the cold returned, sharper than before. Inside the root cellar, Mabel stirred and whimpered in her sleep. Eliza laid beside her, eyes wide open, tracing cracks in the beams overhead. Silas sat outside by the dying fire, carving a fresh round for his old Remington, his hands steady but his breath slow. Taza stood nearby, his bow across his back, listening to the wind. "You feel it?" the Apache asked. Silas didn't look up. "Yeah. They're coming." He nodded. Taza crouched down. Lozen would have never let them get close. Silas gritted his jaw. "She bought us time. Now we use it." Taza looked at him, firelight catching the edges of his stone-hard face. "You got Apache blood on your hands?" Silas froze. The silence crackled like burning pine. "Yeah," he said finally. "Long time ago. I rode with the 8th Cavalry. Thought I was fighting for peace. I was wrong." Taza didn't blink. "You tell her that?" "I tried. She already knew." Neither spoke for a long while. Then Taza stood. "This land remembers. It don't forgive, but it remembers." Just before dawn, hoofbeats thundered across the ridge. Dutch had found them. 6 riders, maybe more. The sound bounced between the cliffs, loud as gunfire. Silas grabbed the rifle. "Get inside, bolt the hatch." Eliza stood ready. "No. You got no gun. I got 2 hands and a reason." Taza handed her a knife. "Then don't miss." The storm came fast. Dutch's men spread out like wolves, hollering, shooting into the trees to flush them out. One torch hit the side of the cabin. Another crashed through the window. Mabel screamed. Eliza shoved her down and rolled the barrel against the flames. Outside, Silas ducked low, firing fast, 2 down before they hit the porch. Taza leapt from the roof with a scream that split the dawn, landing on a rider with his blade drawn. Blood hit the snow. Screams followed. Then, a single gunshot. Different. Sharper. From the ridge above. Everyone froze. Dutch's voice boomed out, laughing. "Look who decided to come home!" Silas turned. There, above them, Lozen stood, covered in dirt and blood, her braid torn, face painted with ash, but alive. She raised a bow and let the arrow fly. Dutch's shoulder jerked back. He roared like a beast, and the reckoning began. The smoke rose before the sun. Not just from the cabin, but from the ground itself, where blood had soaked deep into the red earth and wouldn't let go. Ash drifted through the dawn like winter ghosts, silent and watching. The battle had ended, but its echo still lived in every crack of wood, every labored breath, every body that didn't get up. Dutch was dead. Lozen had made sure of it. One final arrow to the throat after he'd begged like a coward. Not for mercy, but for someone to remember his name. She didn't speak. Just let him choke on his own blood. Now, she sat at the far edge of the ridge, shoulders shaking, but no tears falling. Silas stood nearby, leaning on his rifle like it weighed more than it ever had. One hand pressed to the wound at his side. Nothing mortal. Not this time. But it would scar, same as everything else. Taza walked the perimeter, eyes sharp, boots slow. He would leave soon. Silas knew it. Some men didn't stay in one place after the fire. They carried it elsewhere. Inside, Eliza bandaged Mabel's ankle. The girl had fought like a wildcat. Maybe that's what survival looked like now. Feral, stubborn, and never quite whole again. Lozen finally spoke, her voice low. I should have burned with him. Silas didn't look at her. Then he'd win. She turned toward him, face hard. He took everything from me. He didn't take your fire. You gave it where it mattered. She blinked once, the only acknowledgement he needed. 3 days later, the snow came. Heavy, thick, pure. The basin turned quiet under its hush, as if the land had decided to forgive, for a while. They buried the last of the dead where the creek bends east, under a rock marked with no name. Taza left at dawn without a goodbye. Mabel stayed. Eliza did too. And Lozen, she didn't leave, but she didn't settle. She walked the ridges each morning like a ghost, still unsure of its place. Silas built the new cabin with his own hands. No help, no reason, maybe, except it felt like penance. The firewood stacked high, roof didn't leak, and the hearth burned warm even when the wind screamed outside. Spring came slow. One morning, Lozen stepped inside with a slip of paper. Silas looked up from the stove. What's that? She laid it on the table. A certificate, a legal one. Her name, misspelled and foreign-looking, but stamped official. You're free, he said, reading it aloud. Lozen didn't smile, just folded the paper back up and slid it into a wooden box near the fire. That paper don't tell me who I am, she said. He nodded. Outside, Mabel chased the chickens through muddy grass, her laughter strange and beautiful. Eliza strummed a broken tune on the old banjo. Lozen stepped onto the porch, pulled her coat tight. Silas joined her, both staring west towards the far ridges, where the clouds hung low and gold. Guess the mountain made its choice, he said quietly. She didn't flinch, just replied. No, we did. The wind carried laughter through the cottonwoods. The snow melted into thirsty soil, and above the doorframe, carved into the beam where all could see it, 5 letters were burned deep. Stayed. Not survived, not escaped, but stayed. Because staying means facing the ghosts, and still choosing the firelight. And you? If everything you lost stood at the edge of your door again, would you run, or would you stay?